Hello, tribe, and welcome to today's webinar. We have a special webinar going on. It's from survival to success time, and we are going to learn how to let go of outdated survival mechanisms, and we're going to learn how to step into the badass that I know you are meant to be. So I just decided to impromptu also go live in the group. I just received a message. Somebody was trying to come in, so I hope that you can catch me either in the Zoom or here in the group. Let me tell everyone that I am live. Since this is a surprise, hold on. Listen, this is going to be a powerful one. And I'm going to tell you in a minute why this is the right masterclass, right? Okay. Okay, I've got people coming in the Zoom and I've got people coming in the group. That is amazing. I'm kind of overwhelmed by all these apps, but you say hello wherever you join. Just say hello. Say hello if you are in the group. Say hello if you are live with me. This is awesome. Okay. All right, let me try and comment here. We're live. Oh, forgot to tag everyone. There you go. Tribe, how are you doing? How are you doing? I want to know how you're doing. Either in the group or in the Zoom room. I think I saw, who did I see coming in? Now it's not here anymore. Okay, I'm gonna get going, okay? I'm gonna get going. So here's the thing, tribe. Today we are going to talk about how to go from survival to success. We're going to talk about all these survival mechanisms that may be stopping you in this moment, okay? This is what we are going to do. Now, if you are thinking, am I in the right place in this webinar? Is this webinar even for me? Am I even in survival? Because I know many of you are wondering if you are in survival or not. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it in a moment. Now, here's the thing. You are in the right place if you have been through trauma or adversities in your life, because this may be golden information for you, for sure, for sure. You are at the right place if you are currently feeling stuck in life, like you know you are meant for more, but there's always something that seems to stop you and you're like some sort of annoyed, right? And if you have beating yourself up because you think, oh my gosh, maybe, okay, let somebody in here. If you have been thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm lazy, what the hell is going on here? I should be doing more. Like, let me tell you straight away that this is not you, this is the place for you, but it's what's happening is not that you are lazy or that you are unmotivated. Okay, lovely. Like, you're awesome. And we're going to talk about ways for you to let go of these survival mechanisms. Okay. Now, I'm very energized right now because I am freaking happy to be here. But if you feel like my energy is a little bit off, it's because I am freaking exhausted. Tribe, I am here trying to run a business as we are selling an apartment. Like, I just had a visit and I came rushing to do this. And then I was like, I'm going to stream this to everybody in the group. So, okay, if I seem off, it's because I'm exhausted. Okay, I'm still waiting for you to tell me how you're feeling today. Is it me? Oh, I see that I have comments, but I can't truly see them. So let me look at the comments and see how you're doing in the Zoom and off the Zoom. Okay, so welcome home. This is going to be a hell of a ride. We are going to go deep. All right. So first of all, let's try to figure out if you are in survival mode or not, right? Because that's the thing. This is all about going from survival to success, but are you in survival right now? So what we are going to try to figure out is if you are in survival or not, okay? So this is not about you being in survival all the time, because you're not all the time in survival, right? Like that's impossible. And thank God, because otherwise this would be a life full of stress and anxiety. Actually, you can be in survival all the time, because I remember a time where I was in survival all the time and it was terrifying, right? Because was suffering from PTSD, from anxiety. So this is what we think survival is, right? When we think about survival mode, the thing that comes to mind is just all of these intense feelings. I am anxious, I'm depressed, I can't get out of bed, right? But what we miss sometimes are what I call the soft survival mechanisms. The soft survival mechanisms are these survival behaviors and thoughts and limitations that sneak in a way that you don't even realize that you are entering survival, right? It's the people pleasing, it's the self-sabotage, it's working too hard and working a lot to prove your worth. It's if I'm not productive, I am not enough. It's the procrastination, right? These are all soft survival mechanisms. And I call them soft because they are light, right? Sometimes you don't even realize that you are in survival. But at the end of the day, they are going to hinder your success and they are going to hinder your life somehow. And that's why we're all together here, right? That we're trying to figure out how can we let go of these patterns. Okay, so I really want to let you know, hopefully you're not in survival all the time, but you may have these soft survival mechanisms that sometimes we think it's our personality, right? So I used to think I was not a sports person, so I didn't exercise. I used to think that I was lazy. And it's just like it was all in my head. It was all limitations that I have acquired from my traumatic experiences. And if you can relate to that, you can tell me in the comments if you can relate to that, if you thought you were someone because that's what people told you through actions and words as you were going through trauma, or a traumatic situation happened and you started thinking that you were a certain way. So if this happened to you, my love, that is completely normal, right? I am here to kind of take the load off of you. I want you to feel lighter about this, okay? This is not about us judging ourselves and being like, my God, I'm in survival, I'm going to be like this forever. No, 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 no. We are here to talk about how can we let go of these behaviors, okay? So now, here's the thing. You may be thinking now, okay, so I understand I've been through trauma and I'm maybe in soft survival. Like, where are these things? Where are these things coming from, right? So we can actually make like a timeline. And if you go back at your experiences, you can make a timeline and think about what happened to you. And because of what happened to you, what were the roles that you assimilated that were yours in your life, right? Because when we go to survival, we through trauma, we kind of assimilate certain roles because they were so necessary to survive. So I'm actually writing about this in my book. So this is a topic that is like boom, 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 boom in my head. So you can, for example, you can have different roles. For example, some of us just assimilated the role of being the savior of them all, right? So if you assimilated this role, you are not going to rest until everybody is saved, right? So we must think what I think that the perfect place to start is what were the roles that I have assimilated because of the trauma that I've been through? Because these roles that you have assimilated, unconsciously, right? Because this is not a conscious decision, right? Sometimes it is, but most of the time it's just unconscious decision. You just assimilate this role and it is. I remember having this client. She's a nurse and she's just the most loving person ever. And she just got into this role where she has to help everybody all the time. So much that she was neglecting herself because she was helping everybody all the time. And she was harming her chances of success in relationships, in her professional life, and what she wanted to achieve in life, right? So these roles, and most of us don't have only one role, but these roles are going to lead you to have certain behaviors. And that's when the soft survival behaviors and mechanisms come in and start sabotaging your success. Now, when we talk about these survival mechanisms and survival behaviors, first of all, we need to understand where they come from, right? And we need to open ourselves ourselves up to realize what are these behaviors? What are the behaviors that you have acquired because of trauma? And you thinking about your role is a perfect segue for you to realize what behaviors are you having that are related to survival, right? And why is this so important? This is really, really important, and it's crucial because once you spot the source of the behavior, the role, and the behavior itself, you are able to snap out of it, okay? I'm gonna share this in a processed way so you can actually see it, right? But here's the thing, that's the secret, okay? That is the secret. It's crazy simple, but that's actually how it works. You have been to a situation, because of this situation, you acquired the role or several roles. And because you have these roles in your life, you have certain behaviors. And these behaviors, when you're like, oh, this is just me, I want you to think about, is it really you? Because it's probably a survival role. And right now, you don't need it. We need to upgrade it, right? So I spoke a little bit about it before, but let's talk about these roles, okay? Let's talk about it deeply so we can kind of do some memory work and think about, okay, so where did these roles came from? And so you are able to snap out of them, okay? All right, Stacy saying, I see your beautiful face. Oh, okay. And you cannot hear me. You don't know if it's your phone? Okay, let me check. Maybe it's me. Let me see. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Hi, Trisha. Hi, Leah. Hi, Deborah. Gorgeous ladies. Okay, Stacy, I think it's your phone. Lovely. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe you want to just come out, go out, and then come back in. But anyways, the replay is going to be available. Okay, let's dive into these rules. Let's dive into what are these rules that if I'm looking here, tribe, it's because I'm checking my notes. Okay, let's take a look into these soft survival rules, right? Soft survival mechanisms. So these are the most common, and probably you're gonna listen to me and you're gonna be like, oh, damn, that's me, right? And that's amazing because I want you to see yourself reflected in what I'm saying, obviously. But if you're like, I'm not sure, I may have other behaviors, that's completely fine because we are all different. I am just going to just shout out some behaviors and you see if it fits or not, okay? Because right here, we are creating awareness. We are not monoliths, and that's part of the reason why I love working with you one-to-one or in groups, because I get to see you in action and I get to say and I get to say specifically what are your behaviors and your roles through the coaching, right? But since we're here and I'm not with you in a session, I will ask you to really dive deep and think about, okay, is this me? Do I do this like the same as Eric is saying? Do I do this in a different way? What other roles, what other behaviors do I have that are attached to survival? Okay. All right. So number one role, they're not in order of importance, right? But number one role is people pleasing. How many of us, right? People pleasing was a big one for me. It was a big one, I used to say yes a lot. I used to not think about my boundaries, just sign up for things. I see Lucy. Hi, Lucy. Sign up for things and then, think about the boundaries after. I got so much better at this. But here's the thing. This is survival. You thinking you have to please somebody to survive, because that's what's happening at a conscious level. When I say you, it's not you, it's you, me, it's us, right? You may be thinking, oh, no, I'm just being nice. I'm going to say yes this time because I'm a nice person. But here's the thing, you're not doing it to be nice. You are doing it because you are afraid that if you say no, you are going to be in danger. That's what's happening at a subconscious level. Know what I mean when I talk about soft survival mechanisms? These are mechanisms that you're like, oh, I'm such a people pleaser. I just like making everybody happy. But why? What is behind it? If it's like you're at the subconscious level thinking that it's threatening your survival, then it's something that we need to take a look at, right? So it's nice to do things for people, but if you are people pleasing because at the subconscious level you think that your existence is threatened, then we need to think about it. And I'm going to share with you in a moment. How can we change this around? Okay, I'm going to share it with you. But now we need to take a look at the behaviors because that's how everything starts. All right. Okay, let's see what Lucy says because I have a comment here. Trying to move like 3 screens. I'm stressed. Said yes to spending a lot on glasses today. I'm so freaking proud of you, Lucy. I'm so freaking proud of you because you needed your glasses and you bought them. Yes. And Stacy can finally hear me. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Lucy, I am so freaking proud of you. Please hold yourself and say, I am proud of you because you are taking care of yourself, okay? That's survival. Saying that you don't deserve it, that's too much. It's just glasses. You deserve it. Okay, so people pleasing, right? Then we have another behavior, which is self-sabotaging. There is so much that goes into self-sabotage. And it's funny because sometimes I'm talking like to friends and everything, and they're telling me, that they have this nice thing going on. Oh, I have a great example. Of this friend who had a beautiful partner, right? And they were just like getting to know each other. And the guy was just perfect. Like the whole group of friends, we all loved the guy, right? So, but what happened? She got bored. She got bored of the relationship and she decided that she wanted to, get back to her ex. Tell me if this isn't self-sabotage. She was like, no, I love the other guy. And now you're self-sabotaging. You are self-sabotaging. So we need to really pay attention and remember that our mind is always going to look for familiar. Let me tell you one thing. I had so many toxic relationships in my life. Before the relationship that I am in right now, we're like 5 years and a half in, about to get married. Like, I had so many toxic relationships. Now, the thing is, I tended to self-sabotage. I used to like start a relationship. Don't tell this to anyone. It's just us. But I used to start a relationship and be like, this will be over in 6 months. And if the guy didn't find a way of, ending the relationship, then it's just I would find a way myself and self-sabotage, right? And we think we find our brain just find ways to justify everything. So it's good that we are aware that this happens. And my way of stop self-sabotaging was to start actually, doing the opposite of what I usually did. Okay. All right, Lucy, I'm glad you're back. Ladies, thank you so much for keeping me posted on what's happening. Amazing. Okay, Lucy, I hope you heard that part where I was telling you to, give yourself a hug. And I'm so freaking proud of you because you bought your glasses because you needed it. I hope that you listened to this part. Okay, let's move on to another behavior. Okay, so we spoke about people pleasing, we spoke about self-sabotaging, okay, all soft survival mechanisms. Now, let's talk about one that I see many of us doing, and I am struggling with this to this day. And I really need to stop myself, right? Because I'm a perfectionist. Well, in recovery, which is working hard to prove your worth, right? How many of us believe that in order to be successful, whatever that means to you, I'm not saying you have to make $1 million and buy a mansion. I'm talking about being successful, which is living a fulfilling life? How many of you believes wholeheartedly that in order to become successful, you need to work really hard? Okay. Now, have you thought about where does that come from? Have you thought about why do you have this idea that I'm not saying things are never going to be difficult and that you're not going to have challenges, but I'm talking about the working hard mentality that everything needs to be sacrificial. Sacrificial. That's the word, right? I had to ask myself, where did I get that idea? And you know something interesting? I think most of you know, I used to be a school teacher and I used to do my coaching and my yoga on the side, right? And I said, I am going to focus on my business because number one, this is my purpose. And number two, this is not actually, it's like, it goes hand to hand. But like number two, I wanted to have more time for myself, more time for my relationship, more time to take care of myself. Now tell me why, when I quit my job, I started working like I had a 9 to 5 still, and I was doing extra hours for myself. Why did I think that? So the thing is, I got used to as a child, as a complex childhood trauma survivor, that to get attention and to get love, I needed to work very hard. I needed to have very good grades. I needed to like be the best daughter and always be there and take care of my brothers. And right, I was an adultified child. So I had all this pressure to perform because otherwise nobody would look at me. Okay. I wasn't enough as I was. And if you can relate to this, let me know in the comments because I know I'm not alone in this. So yeah, so I had all my life, I had to work hard to prove that I was worthy of love, of affection, of a job, of whatever. And about 3 years ago, I said, no, that's not how it works. And I am proving myself, right, that I can be successful without working crazy hard. Okay. So is this just the way we are? Is just how society is? No. This is a soft survival mechanisms. This is things that we learn because of trauma. And I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Oh, I lost the live. Okay. Where is it? And I would love to see you in the comments telling me about what do you think about this. Okay. All right. Let me brush through the other two behaviors that I have to share with you that are common soft survival behaviors and mechanisms. And then let's talk about how to go from survival mode to gentle badass mode. My favorite part. Okay. Now let's talk about the two other behaviors. Okay. Not being able to rest, survival mechanism. You know what? There was like, I think there was a year ago. I think it was a year ago. I was chilling at home. My partner was away. And then when he came home and opened the door lock, I jumped and I started to pretend I was doing something. Right? And I think I grabbed my tablet and started to pretend I was doing something. Where the hell does this come from if not survival? Right? And this is going to show up in your life when you're trying to rest and just mind your business. There's a voice that's going to come and say that you cannot rest. If you are trying to get a business, get a job, there's a voice that's going to say, why are you resting? You should be sending CVs. Why are you resting? You should be reaching out to people. Why are you resting? Right? And this is all survival, right? And sometimes we say it's perfectionism, right? I just did it before, if you noticed it. Sometimes we're like, oh, this is perfectionism. Sometimes we say we're just very ambitious and we're very driven. And who said we cannot be driven and soft? Who said we cannot be gentle, badass, and still achieve? Stacy's saying I was told I didn't give myself enough credit, and I believe that. Yes, and you should. I haven't slept well since I was an infant. That is so, Stacy, this was something that I struggled with. I'll DM you with some tips. I'll you with some tips because from PTSD, I also spent over a decade since my childhood not sleeping well. Okay. All right. I'll DM you with some tips. Okay. And then the last survival mechanisms, which is not the last one, right? Because there are more. And we all have a version of these. We all have different ones. Like I said in the beginning, is the procrastination. And the reason why I wanted to talk about procrastination is because we tend to think that we're lazy, that we're stupid, that we're unmotivated if we are procrastinating. And usually procrastination has a deeper meaning. And for me, when I think about us, people who have been through adversities, difficulties in life, survivors, for me, that's survival. That's survival. That's like maybe a way of self-sabotaging, right? That is you don't thinking you are enough, so you don't do anything, right? So these are soft survival mechanisms. And I want to really to let you know that this is not your personality. This is not who you are. This is just stemming from trauma, from a role that you acquired because of these situation or continued situations that you were in. Okay? And the good thing, since this is not your identity, you are able to change it. Really, truly, you are able to change it because, like, how many of you, if you are in my space, it's because you have been doing the work. I know you're not been sitting down and just not doing anything, okay? I know you have been doing the work. So this is not your identity. And just like you changed some behaviors before, you are going to be able to change these behaviors and step into the badass that you are meant to be. Which leads me to the final part of this webinar where we're going to talk about how to go from survival mode to gentle badass mode. Oh my God, I'm so thirsty. Hold on. Okay, so here's the thing. We now understand that survival is not just about like this crazy intense feeling, right? That survival is also about these soft survival mechanisms. So we're here because we want to become successful in an aligned way. We want to be people who are fulfilled. We want to be happy. So in order to be happy, we have to let go of these survival mechanisms, right? And we have to at least learn what they are and how to deal with them, because some of them are not going to go away forever. I let go of the people pleasing. Listen, I let go of it. I'm like, okay. Most of the time, I'm like, nope, not on my watch. But the working hard to prove my worth, I'm still like, I still need to remind myself. So here's the thing. Let's talk about the 4 steps for you to go from survival to gentle badass mode. Notice that I said gentle badass mode. I don't want us to go like full on badass energy and forget about the gentleness, because then guess what? We get into survival. We get into I'm working really hard because that's what you're supposed to do. So how do we go from one mode to the other? First of all, the first part of this webinar was all about what you can do. Okay, it was all about not what you can do, was all about the first step. Okay, first step is to acknowledge. Okay, we just spent about 20 something minutes acknowledging the survival and the soft survival mechanisms that we may have in the background. What do I advise you to do? To check in with yourself and to have an honest conversation, maybe journal about it and think about, okay, what are these mechanisms that are ruining running my life right now, right? So think about what I shared. Think about other mechanisms that you know this comes from trauma, right? So first of all, we need to acknowledge, right? We know this is what happened. I have this behavior. Key word here, non-judgmental approach. We love ourselves here. We know this is not our fault, but it is our responsibility. Okay, so this is like we listen and we don't judge. You know that trend where it's like we listen and we don't judge. So you listen and acknowledge your soft survival mechanisms and you don't judge them, because like how can you judge yourself on that? Like you know your traumas, you know that A plus B equals the behavior that you have right now. So let's not judge ourselves. The thing is like this is to empower you, because when you know it, it's easier to change. So this is step one. We're going to acknowledge. Step number two is to embrace it. You know, I don't know how many times, and usually this happens when people have like their first session with me. They always say something like, I am fighting with myself. I want to become a new person. And this is all. And when I'm saying this, I am feeling the constriction. I'm feeling the fight and the strength, right? I'm not feeling a lot of gentleness in there. So for me, you don't need to fight yourself. You need to hold yourself. Okay? You know, like when sometimes you're so angry. Uh, I was just thinking about, my period days. All I need is a freaking hug and chocolate. Okay? so, so give yourself that hug and that chocolate, metaphorically speaking. Okay? Give yourself love, embrace yourself, because this version of yourself is acting out for a reason, right? So why are you people pleasing? Why are you self-sabotaging? Why are you working hard? Because you want to feel seen and you want to feel loved. That's why. So I need you to do it for yourself, right? Because these people, the all abusers, traumatizers, or whatever happened, they're not going to be the ones to give you that. You are the one who needs to embrace yourself. You need to embrace yourself. You need to love yourself. You need to love all parts of you. Just think about it. If you meet somebody and this person is telling you everything that you've been through, but like this is them going through it, and they say, oh, I've been through all of this and I'm like always self-sabotaging, I don't believe in myself, you're gonna be like, oh, of course, because you've been through all of that. And you're gonna love them, right? So you need to do it with yourself. So step number two is going to be embrace. Okay, now, step number three is the fun part, which is to snap the F out of it. Snap the F out of it, because you know what? You acknowledge, you embrace it, and you're going to be like, that doesn't make sense anymore. I don't need to protect myself here. I don't need to fight for my survival. Okay? I'm going to be okay, right? Once you acknowledge and you embrace, to snap out of it is actually easier. How do you snap out of it? You can just visualize yourself entering in a different mode. Just visualize yourself being like, okay, this is what happened. Love you very much, but I'm in charge right now, right? You can tell that version of yourself and be like, okay, you're doing this because of that. I love you, but I'm gonna take it from here because we don't need protection right now. We need to go after what we really want, okay? So that's step number three, snap out of it. Okay, step number four is going to be replacing, okay? So we are going to replace the behavior for a successful one. Now, I know that this is step number four, but the thing about this step is that you need to think about it in advance, because otherwise, in the moment, it's very, very hard to replace it, because you're going to be hot, right? You're going to be like, automatically doing the thing that you usually do. So I guess your homework is to think of your role, think of the soft survival mechanisms, and think what can you replace those mechanisms for, okay? I went through this phase where I just said, you know what, I'm going to start saying yes to everything. And I paused here for a moment because I had this I live in the Canary Islands and I work with this association, which is the African and African descent women in the Canary Islands. And last week we had this beautiful session where I was just coaching my girls, my ladies, into figuring out what is it that they really needed, right? And there was this, one of them was just like, oh, I need my space, but I need to be with people. But then people say, and invite me to things and I automatically say no. And I think I should say more, say yes more. And I was like, here's your homework. That you just gave yourself a homework. Say yes more often, right? So if you tend to not accept help and whatever, just say yes more often. So I went through this phase, which is what I was trying to say before, before completely going off and thinking about my other client. But like, I went through this phase where I forced myself to say yes more often. Do you want help? Yes, please. I have a gift for you. Thank you. Shut up. And I had to train myself, right? So this is something that obviously it's not going to snap like that, but the more you practice, the more it's going to happen. But you need to do some background work so you can actually know, okay, when this happens, instead of doing X, I'm going to do Y, right? And be very specific. So for me, it was like, yes, thank you. Yes, I want help. Okay, it was a very obvious task that I gave myself. And this is, I hope this inspires you to give yourself also like a task to work on one of these soft survival mechanisms. Just pick one that you want to eliminate that is sabotaging your success, right? And just think about, okay, so what can I do instead? How can I replace that behavior? Okay, remember, acknowledge, embrace, snap, and replace. Okay, acknowledge, embrace, snap, and replace. So think about how can you replace it, okay? Because this is step number 4, but we need to do it. We need to prepare in advance. Okay, Stacy says, I have a hard time saying no. Well, you know what to do now. Think about a specific situation where you usually say no, a very specific, because I don't want you to think about, I'm going to say yes to everything. I want you to take baby steps. So think about like a specific situation that you usually say yes to, and decide that next time you are going to politely, with love, from a place of love, you are going to say no. Yeah, exactly. Just if you want to think about like a small situation, it doesn't have to be huge, but that's how you start practicing. That's how I did it. That's how I did it. I was so like, I was broken. At least I felt broken. And I was like, I need to do the opposite of what I usually do. So yeah. Stacy, you're laughing. Okay, okay. Because I know that with boundaries sometimes, and it happened with me as well. When I started setting boundaries, I was like, I was like, no, I don't want it. And it just, I didn't want to do it that way, but it came off very strongly, right? And we can do it from a place of love. So let's think about how we can do it from a place of love. Tribe, should we wrap it up? And you know what? If you're catching this on the replay, I want you to comment hashtag team replay. I'm looking down because I want to say thank you to each one of you who came up out live. If I can still see it, oh my gosh, now Facebook doesn't let me see it. But you know what? I'm so appreciative of you, everyone who popped up. I'm so appreciative and I'm very proud of you because, you're choosing to grow, okay? So should we wrap it up and talk a little bit about everything that we spoke about? I love doing these wrap-ups, okay? So we're out here going from survival to becoming a gentle badass, okay? We want to go from survival to success and let go of these survival mechanisms that are stopping us in the background, right? That we don't like. Now, here's the thing. We need to make a distinction of soft survival mechanisms and the other ones who are pretty strong. The pretty strong, you know all about them, right? Because they keep you awake at night. They give you anxiety, okay? These are the big ones. But then you have soft survival skills mechanisms that can go unnoticed, and it's normal, okay? So why these mechanisms appear? Because you have acquired a role because of survival, you have acquired a role and certain behaviors and certain limiting beliefs. I think next webinar or very soon we're going to talk about limiting beliefs, but you have acquired all of these, right? So we spoke about people pleasing, self-sabotage, working really hard to prove your worth, not being able to rest, procrastination. It's not like you're crazy or lazy, right? It's because of survival. And we have all these mechanisms because we think that at the subconscious level, we think we're in danger, but we're not. So how to go from survival to gentle badass mode? First of all, we are going to acknowledge, right? We're going to see what are our specific soft survival mechanisms. Then we are going to embrace it. We're not going to be judgmental. We're going to love that part of us. We're not going to fight with her. We're going to say, come here, baby. I get you. It's okay, but I'll take it from here. That's how you snap. You say, I'll take it from here. Once you snap out of it, we're going to replace. And remember, replace is step 4, but you need to prep for it. So if you know the behavior and if you know specific situations, then you think about how can you replace these behaviors. Okay, tribe, I hope that this was freaking useful to you. As always, I am going to share with you the link. Not as always, sometimes I share different things. I guess I'm too tired. I'm just dropping words that don't belong. But I'm going to share with you the link for you to book a line success call with me in case you want to go deeper into these topics, because you and I know that this goes really deep and sometimes we need help to unpack all of it, right? Because it's a lot. So I just mentioned 5 behaviors that you may want to change, right? And sometimes it's tough doing it on your own, okay? So I'm sharing the link with you if you are considering going one-to-one with me, if you are considering getting some help. This is a free one-to-one call. And then in the end, if you are interested, we can talk about ways of working together. Okay, I have different packages and we can talk about it if it aligns. All right, so if you're like, I'm ready to get rid of this, I need some support, here I am. And if you're like, let me do some more self-healing and think about it later, I'm here as well, okay? Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you for investing in your personal growth and expansion and healing and success. And remember, you are worthy because what? Because you were born worthy. So go ahead, start acting like it. Show me some love in the comments, even if you are catching this on the replay. You know, I always love connecting with you. And that's a wrap. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Thank you. I wish I could see all your names. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Lucy. Who else was live? Could not see it. Okay. All right. Bye, tribe.